Hello, I've got a couple of new macros for you which I'm just in the middle of developing for the job I'm working on. So we're looking at the live data for the job I've got in hand, but I've anonymized it using a trick that's in my Reddit library if you need to anonymize text for passing on to somebody. So the problems we've got here are that first of all, that the section headings have no numbers, and in this chapter it has actually got heading 1 and heading 2, but in the other chapters of this multi-file book there are just differences in the size of the headings to indicate which level of heading they are. So we've got no numbers, we've got full points and various other punctuation at the end of the headings, and also they're not in title case, which is what my client requires. So the first macro is one that finds the different sized text of the headings, so it will go down to the next heading whose size is greater than the normal text. And as you can see, we've got 18 points, 16 points, 16, 14 points, so there's 3 levels of heading there. So the first one then jumps to the first heading. We run the type section number macro, and that tries to give us what it thinks is a sensible section number. Actually, this is chapter 2, so if I type 2.1 instead, then it puts in 2.1. So go to the next heading level there and run the macro again. This time it's trying to give it 2.2, which will be the next heading number at the same level, but actually we've dropped down a level. This is a slightly smaller heading, so we put a minus sign in there and it automatically does the next heading for that. So find the next bit of text. That's 16 point again, so run the macro, and that is actually the numbering we want. Go to the next heading. That one is back in 18, so it's gone back up to the higher level. So we run the macro and do a plus sign, which means going back up the heading, so it goes to 2.2. Next heading, 16 points, so we've gone down again, minus. Next heading, that's 16 point again, so it's the same level. And if you get it wrong, it doesn't matter, because you can delete it. You can go back to the previous one and run the macro. That then reads the fact that it's already got a number, and so when you go down to the next level and run the macro, then it gives you the next number in the sequence, and you can accept that one, move down to the next one, which is a level down. And actually, if you suddenly decide that, well, not that one, but if we go back, if we find an 18.1, that's 16, 14, what are we? And we go back to 18, so we've now got to go back up 2 levels, so run the macro and do plus plus, and that takes you back up 2 levels. Okay, so the only other things to say are that as you can see, it's doing the the title casing there. If we look at the macro itself, at the beginning you've got 2 options: do sentence case equals false, so we don't want sentence case; do title case equals true, so I want my title case. So if you swap those around, true and false, then you can have sentence case instead. If you don't want to change the case at all, make them both false. And the only other thing to say before I go is that these 2 macros have only just been developed, so there may be problems. So if you do find problems, please report them, because then I can correct the macro and make it work better for other people. Okay, thanks for watching.